So recently Star Wars Outlaws released and I played it on day one. I put a few hours into it and honestly, I have a lot of issues with the game, but I also have a lot of things that I like about the game. I always knew one day we'd get an open world Star Wars game, I just didn't know how it was going to be executed, honestly. To my surprise, it's actually executed good in ways that I wasn't expecting, but bad in ways that I kind of expected and didn't expect. Some of the stuff that is bad, I didn't expect it to happen, but a lot of the stuff that's bad, I kind of expected, especially coming from Ubisoft. So, I wanted to talk about it a bit, share my opinion with it, and see what everyone else thinks. One of my favorite things about the game is probably going to be the characters. They actually do feel really lively. Don't want to spoil the game for you, but the person you meet, Waka, in the start ends up kind of, how do I say this politely? He kind of screws you over, and it's kind of a part of the story. I'm not going to say too much more, but I thought it was really cool, and, I can grow connections with these characters. They feel real, and you actually have some kind of connection with them. They don't just feel like AI. They actually feel like real characters with personalities and stuff like that. But along right side with that is it's very hard to follow the story for me. For some reason, I get what we're doing. I just don't understand why we're doing it. You start off as like just some kind of Han Solo kind of character where you're just kind of rifting throughout this whole universe. You don't really fit in with anybody in particularly, so you kind of just do your own thing. All the Imperial versus the Rebellion, none of that concerns you. You're just here trying to survive. You're making money. You're doing whatever means necessary to make that money. Somebody betrays you along the line that I'm not really going to spoil too much, but blah, 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 blah. You get caught up in the shit. You have to steal a ship. The whole thing is pretty much about this ship is like some legendary ship, and you're pretty much just adding on parts to it as you go along, fixing all the broken to it. Along the way, again, you're meeting characters that, like, you kind of have to do stuff for in order to get these parts, and then something happens to them, or you go on and move to the next thing. Now, I know I'm kind of paraphrasing that really bad, but you know what I mean. You kind of get my drift, especially if you have played the game, you kind of understand what I'm talking about. But for me, it just feels like there's not enough being talked about, explaining what's going on and explain how. A lot of people would argue that there's a lot of games kind of similar to this, where it's like you don't really know what's going on, but it's good. This game feels like almost like a God of War game where it feels very streamlined on these missions. You have to go to the specific place to get the specific thing, but it doesn't explain. It's not an open world game where it's like, oh, well, you have to just find this. You don't, like Elden Ring. For a certain piece of something, you actually have to go out and find this randomly. There's no waypoint to go to. You don't know an actual general direction. It's literally just an open world. You have to figure it out. This game does the opposite of that. It gives you a waypoint, but it doesn't explain what's going on, what the story behind it, or anything.
You know who I am.
I hear you.
Fine, pussy girl.
Gotta be another way in.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, this isn't suspect at all, just a waltz back here without them knowing or trying to be hidden. There's a lot of confusing stuff that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but it's like, it's not the worst game in the world. It's just very, I don't know.
Okay, stay quiet, buddy.
It feels like they made this shit in a chop shop. It's missing a little bit of the stuff, It's okay. This is like a kit car.
There's nowhere I can look up and learn about anything either, like kind of like Elden Ring, where I can read like a lore thing or someone can explain it to me through whatever. There's no explanation as to what's going on, and I just feel like it's so hard for me to get a grasp on the story and hold on to it to keep wanting to play this game. I don't know. That's a really hard thing for me, and I know that might not be for everybody, but that's more of just specifically tailored to me. I have a really hard time like holding on to what's going on. Speaking of things feeling alive, I feel like the open world doesn't really feel alive. It feels like you have these big cities and compounds and stuff like that they're very lively and you have people all around them and all that. But as soon as you leave one of those like big cities on these planets, as soon as you leave, it just feels dead. There's no animal. There's hardly any animals. There's like these weird little rhinoceros things that I keep running into and crashing.
Oh, that looks so cool.
But other than that, all you're going to see is like people on speeders and they're going to try and pull you over and fight you. It just feels very empty. And I get it. Star Wars is supposed to be more of like you're literally in the first map, you're pretty much just out in the middle of nowhere. Obviously, you're not going to see a bunch of people just on the sides of the road and whatever. But I just feel like it could have been a little more lively. Just animals or anything. Add a little bit more to it. The map just feels really dead to me. All the planets that I've been to so far, I haven't been to like Tatooine and all the other stuff that I know people have been saying feel a lot better. and like those maps, but I personally just haven't found a map that I've really cared for, or a planet, or whatever you want to call it. I haven't found one that actually goes, wow, this is a nice area to be in. Kind of like, for example, Red Dead Redemption 2 had like Valentine. I loved being at Valentine. It was nice. I knew where everything was. It was small, but it was big enough where there was plenty of people. You find those little areas that you feel comfortable in, and I just can't seem to find one in Star Wars at all. There's not a place where I really feel comfortable walking around just kind of exploring. I kind of just keep on going with a mission to hope I find a better area to kind of stay in. And it's also really hard to find where to go for the missions. It's kind of hard for me to find out which direction I'm going. They don't make it extremely apparent, but again, that's also could be argued where it kind of makes the game more open worldy. You kind of have to figure it out.
Are you saying this wall or that wall? I think this wall is what you're talking about, but I can't grab onto it when I run. Fuck it, I'll try it again. This game's fucking broken. I hate it.
But I just feel like the game doesn't have enough to explore where it is open worldy enough like that. You're still on a map that's kind of streamlined with at least the mission. You'll go into a building, and this building is just made for this mission, but you still won't really know where you're going. So there's no reason to have it lead you anywhere else. It's just you can't find exactly where you need to go. And a little bit of it's stupidity on my end. I'm not used to the game, obviously, but you know what I mean. It's a little silly sometimes. A bunch of clips of me out there doing some stupid shit on this game that just I raged because it was just pure stupidity on my end.
Well, no. I don't know how to disable it, though. How? Somebody tell me. Where can I go to disable it, for real? Am I stupid? That's all like.
But it'd be a little easier if they'd put like a light or make something a certain color that you can jump on, or just some little hint. And they kind of do that with the color yellow, but they could do it better. All of the traversal feels really funny anyway. Whenever you do have to climb something, or whenever you have to use like your little grappling rope, anytime you have to jump to something, like do a little bit of parkour, it just feels so off. It doesn't feel good in any way, shape, or form for anybody. When I have to jump across something, I actually dread it because I know I'm probably gonna fall. I don't like how they did it, and I don't know why, but I just don't. I'm not a fan of it.
This does kind of like Avatar's like world, though. Like, how the fuck are you gonna add grappling? And I grapple, and she swings her feet into the bottom of the fucking rock, and it cancels the animation.
Honestly, the combat feels the same way. I'm not even talking about hand-to-hand combat. It's more of like all the other combat. With this blaster or with the ship, it kind of just feels lackluster, and it could be improved upon a lot. Like, even the speeders and the ships don't handle good at all.
Finally, holy shit. That's crazy that they made it like that, but that makes way more sense than there's just not.
Every time I get in combat in the ship, I'm like, damn, I'm hoping it's like War Thunder, and it's not like War Thunder as far as handling goes. I still do not know how to spin the ship around. I can't keep the ship level is basically what I'm saying. There may be some keybinds on PC that I just don't know about, but I feel like this game is kind of meant to be played on controller anyway. It doesn't really feel like it's made to be played on PC, but whatever. On PC, the graphics are amazing. I'll give you that. That it is a beautiful game, especially if your PC can handle it. Turn the graphics up all the way and you'll never see a better Star Wars game out there. You will never see it. It's gorgeous. The hair on her head, you can see every single follicle, it feels like. It's so pretty. And the environments feel so more lively the more you get into the graphical side, because I feel like they focused on that more than they did anything else in the game. The scenery and all the planets, just the areas, they look beautiful. Don't get me wrong at all. The graphics are astonishing, especially in the area right before a thing happens with Waka, where you get in that part for the ship, in that old Republic ship. That is the most gorgeous area you'll ever explore. All the rusty ship pieces also mixed with like the overgrown. It just, I don't know, it looks straight out of something you can download on Wallpaper Engine for like a background. It looked beautiful. It looked really cool. Also with that kind of comes a lot of crashing on PC. I know a few of my buddies have dealt with the crashing on console, but they didn't really say it crashed a lot. They said it like would shut off randomly once or twice. But I know on PC for like an entire day one time, for some reason, it was just shutting off. And then they released an update, and I think it fixed it. So really, that's not too big of an issue. Just keep your eye out on that. The biggest thing that was driving me up a wall the entire time I was playing, and I actually can't stand this, is the camera. Every time I'm in an area where it's like a city or like a safe place to be, the camera just goes right on the back of her head. And it makes me so angry. I don't know why it makes me so angry, but I can't see anything but the back of her head. And sometimes it'll be stuff like, oh, well, look for an entrance to this certain area that's restricted. It's like, bro, I can't see around her damn ears. What do you mean look for this? I can't see. And I know they have that weird setting where it's like the cinematic view where it's like it's a 21:9 instead of a 16:9. But my monitor's not a 21:9. It's a 16:9. I don't want to see black bars on my screen the entire time I play, man. It bothers the shit out of me. So it's either I have black bars on my screen and I'm pretty much zoomed in on the back of her head, or I don't have the black bars and I'm really zoomed in on her head. So it's a shame. They kind of messed with the camera way too much, and they messed up by making it a 21:9 game. I never thought that an aspect ratio would be ideal on one game versus not. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why would they make this game like cinematic 21:9? Why would they make the camera only work that way instead of making it proper and making it a 16:9 standard? Everybody I know has a 16:9 standard monitor. The amount of people that have a widescreen monitor, I haven't seen one person have one. Not one. One thing they did right is the drip. I gotta give it to them. So all the unlockables and the customization stuff I think is really cool. How you unlock some stuff, I don't really care for. But that's really and truly, it's not bad. It's just I'm lazy. So that's not a bad thing. Some of the unlocks are kind of challenging to do, or you have to do like a side quest for them. But obviously, it's an open world game. That's how they're going to be. So that's not me dissing that at all. It's actually kind of nice how they do it. Because again, it feels like more story. I love all the outfits and stuff they give for her and all the different stuff you can unlock for her. Her blaster, the little guy, dude, the little dog or whatever it is. I don't even know, dude. What even is he? Love him to death. Love all the unlockables. Beautiful customization. I love having that freedom. This game being an open world game, you need that. It's one more thing that you just feel like you have freedom, and your game's different than anybody else's. They do this a lot in Jedi Survivor and the other Star Wars game, Fallen Order. They had a lot of customization and stuff like that, but that game wasn't as open world as this one is. So obviously, it just, I don't know, it's different to me. All the customization stuff you get to do is what I held on to. One thing I'll gripe about, and I know this is again going to be kind of a based opinion, stupid. I wish there was some form of lightsaber you could unlock. That's when you're just barely grasping the top of the Star Wars universe, when you're still just a lightsaber enjoyer and all that, whatever you want to call it. I don't really care, but I would like that option to be there. If you want to play it as a mercenary, I wish there was different kind of ways you could play the game. There's so much on choices and reputation that I feel like they should have made it where it's like, oh, well, you can go down this path of being a good guy and learning about the Force and doing that, or you can go down this bad path, or you go down a Sith path, or again, you could just be a mercenary. I feel like they could have made it more like one of the old Star Wars games, like the Old Republic or something, where you had more of a choice, but just in this open world setting of how this game is made. I just wish the reputation would have played into that instead of it being so just, oh, play into this reputation to make the game easier or harder in certain areas, and then it'll give you some unlockables. That being said, I love the reputation system too. It's pretty cool. You know, if you actually go around and grind missions for like Jabba's place or whatever place, like me, mine's the Shiga clan. If you actually get good reputation with them, you can just walk in places, and that's really cool to me. The higher you get it, the more places you get unlocked. You can just go wherever and they won't harm you. I think that's a really good way to make it easy. If you guys remember in GTA 4, you couldn't go to the second or the third island until you got so far into the story game. It's kind of the same principle where it's like, okay, you can go there, but the cops are going to get on you. It's the same thing for this game. It's like, you can go in those areas, but they're going to try and kill you because you're not supposed to be there. So it's like, you know, the further you get in the game, the more of these areas you can just explore freeingly. Or if you want to check them out early, just run in there, you know? It's a very open world kind of thing to me. The choices is also kind of the same thing as, I like that there's so much important choices that actually do make a difference. It's really cool how the choice differed, because one would up your reputation for both. Because one would up your reputation for one and it would knock it down for another. Or there was one that was just, it would go up and then one wouldn't be affected. So it's like, as long as you play it safe and smart, you can really play the reputation to whatever you need it to be. All in all, I just want to let you guys know that I'm not hating on this game. I think it can definitely be improved. My whole philosophy for this game is probably could be better, but will be better, because it's going to continue to get updates, and it's already got DLCs in line. It's going to be a good game. We just have to give it a little bit of time. I'm not saying it's the worst game that's ever been made, but they definitely need to improve it to me. There's some things that they could work on. There's some things that they can't fix, and that it never will be fixed, but that's okay. As long as they fix the things that they can, all they can do is try their best. So it's not me hating on the game at all. I think the game's a really cool game, especially if you're playing a Star Wars game for the first time in a long time. It's going to be unique just in that aspect. But coming off Jedi Survivor, I feel like they could have done a little bit better. But needless to say, I'm going to leave it here. If you guys have any more opinions you want to share with me, or if you disagree with my opinion, feel free to leave it in the comments below. Truthfully, it's not that deep to me, so please don't make it like an argument. But, you know, if you want to have a polite discussion in the comments, please make yourself at home. Anyways, guys, I'm going to leave this video here. If you like these kind of videos and stuff like that, leave a like, subscribe, and, as always, that's it. Bye.